down, two of our previews down, two more to go. And I'm delighted to bring in our third guest and someone we actually got to see a couple weeks ago during our annual commission retreat. She is the first ever diversity, equity, and inclusion officer at the Maine College of Art and Design. And she's also a learning support coordinator on staff. Margaret Brownlee, thank you so much for joining in, being willing to present at the conference, and of course, continuing to hang out with us here at Volunteer Maine, as we had you at the retreat a couple of weeks ago, as we said, and it was just absolutely fantastic. So thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And we have Kelsey back with us. And Margaret, we'll just start off with some details about yourself. Can you give us, the folks at home some information on your background?
Sure. So my title is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer here at Maine College of Art and Design. I provide workshops and trainings to students, faculty, and staff. I organize events and support the community. In my spare time, I volunteer on the South Portland Human Rights Commission, which is about a year old now. I'm also running for City Council in South Portland, and lots going on. I'm also in my final year of school at the University of New England. So super busy, but also super passionate about the work that I do.
That's awesome. And you're, what is it? It's your doctorate in educational leadership. That's what you're going for? Of course, we wish you the best of luck as you finish that up. So question number 2, of course, give us a little sneak peek about your session.
I am piggybacking off of some of the work that I did in the commissioner retreat, talking about DEI basic principles so that we are all on the same page about what those terms mean. And then I'm also going to be talking a little bit about how we can work with our different communities to understand where they're coming from, understanding how to do community needs assessments, and then also understanding how access and equity create inclusion, and that we can create these different principles to create a more inclusive community. So I'll be talking about a little bit about power and privilege, intersectionality, and strategies for success. So I'm really excited to be hosting or kicking it off for you all, and that I hope that the principles and resources are helpful for the audience.
And speaking of the audience, what we've been asking folks so far in this episode is, taking it back to the larger theme of this month's episode, which is finding ways to shrink the resource gap, including skills. We're looking at that as a resource brought on by the pandemic that has just hit nonprofits, volunteer agencies, volunteer managers so hard. The conference, we want to use that as, just one way to provide folks with some tools to help shrink that and combat that. So with that being said, what do you hope that people get out of your session?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think oftentimes DEI is a one-on-one conversation over and over again. We start to talk about the same exact principles. And so I'm hoping that we can lean on other aspects of DEI, and access is one of them, right? So talking about ways that we can all have a piece of the pie or a piece of the puzzle, that we can all be collaborative to work towards success. I also feel like I'm actually looking at my slides to make sure I'm relaying the correct information. But I think with the resource gap, it's important to think about maximizing our efficiency, right? So oftentimes I talk about doing SWOT analysis within organizations. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So how can we rely on technology to be more efficient, right? Because there's not going to be an influx of people, right? And so how can we utilize the people and the resources that we already have to work smarter, not harder? So my takeaway from the training, I think, obviously we'll be going over the basic principles and terminologies, best practices, but finding ways that Volunteer Maine can maximize their efficiency, right? Kind of using a paradigm shift about ways that I don't want to add to people's caseloads, right? I don't want to add more work and more time and like longer, harder hours, but how can we work smarter with the amount of people, resources, diversity of perspectives and thoughts that we already have?
Well, thank you so much, Margaret. And again, just having the opportunity to sit in on the commission retreat, I think folks are really going to enjoy your session. There was a lot for me to take away in it, and I'm excited. I think, Kelsey, if correct me if I'm wrong, I think I signed up. Actually, yes, I did sign up to be the tech for your session, so I'm going to be there no matter what. No, it truly is a eye-opening session, at least what we got to see. And as someone who is in communications and in recruitment as well here for Volunteer Maine, having a hand in that for some of the national service programs and some of the new service corps that we have coming up, this is vital information for me. So I thank you, and I hope folks will choose to attend the session. I can at least say too that it's going to be run really well because I'm on the tech. But no, seriously, Margaret is an awesome speaker. Sign up for the session, and please join us on October 12th. So, Margaret, thank you so much. Kelsey, thank you again for sitting in on another interview with us.